In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Giant Propel Advanced 1 disc, a bike that I personally own and purchased at the full recommended retail price at Giant Brisbane a few months ago now. Now, I purchased this second generation Giant Propel Advanced 1, which interestingly has not been updated since 2017, and I believe won't be updated in 2022. So clearly, Giant feel like they're onto a good thing, but I purchased this bike because I wanted to get a good feel for what the Tier 2 aero category felt like. Reason being, I recently took on a project to build, test and review an aero road bike direct from China, being the Windspace T1500. After I tested that bike, I felt like it didn't quite match the Tier 1 aero road bikes I've ridden in the past. So I have invested my riding over the past few months into this Giant Propel Advanced 1 and the Merida Reacto 6000, which I'll be reviewing in coming weeks, and the Windspace T1500, with a view to complete a triple-headed review on these Tier 2 aero frames in the very short-term future. So if that sounds up your alley, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel below and hit the bell to ensure you get notified on when these videos come out in the future. But for this video today, we're going to focus specifically on the Giant Propel Advanced 1, and we're going to split the video into 5 parts. Part number 1, an unusual characteristic. Number 2, the numbers including price and weight. Number 3, geometry and design. Number 4, my riding experiences. And number 5, a must immediate upgrade, wrapping up with my rating system. So part number 1, an unusual characteristic. Never in my almost 5 years of testing and reviewing bikes has the aero race bike been more comfortable than the all-round race bike in the same family. So the Specialized Tarmac versus the Venge, the Cannondale System 6 versus the Super 6, etc. But in the case of Giant, in my riding experiences, in my humble opinion, the Giant Propel is quite a lot more comfortable than the Giant TCR, a bike that I also owned in 2019, as many of my channel supporters would know. Now, TCR stands for Total Compact Road, and the bike is specifically designed to be aggressive and stiff, with a sloping top tube creating a small, light and super responsive little triangle. But it can be unforgiving. The Giant Propel, on the other hand, there is no sloping top tube. In fact, the top tube is circular, which is unusual for an aero bike. And I did actually notice a bit of flex in the top tube while riding, no doubt adding to that soft, comfortable riding experience. But ultimately, this is the type of aero bike you can ride all day long. It could be your one and only bike, which I don't often say about the aero category. What about stiffness and aggressiveness? I hear many of you asking. Let's talk about that specifically in my riding experiences. Part number 2 is the overall weight and price. So the Giant Propel Medium with a mount, speed play pedals and a cage came in at 8.6 kilograms, which is quite heavy. Now, before we talk about price, I did want to thank today's video sponsor, which enables me to invest into projects like this, that being Surfshark.
Meet Old Mate. We can't show you Old Mate's face because he's a little different.
What an idiot! This silly ad over here. What's this? An online casino? Get my credit card!
As you can see, Old Mate's internet behaviour is erratic, but what you may not be aware of is that Old Mate's privacy and security is covered using Surfshark's award-winning VPN. However, when Old Mate first heard about a VPN, he was a little skeptical.
What the bloody hell's a VPN?
Good question. Surfshark's VPN encrypts your internet traffic and disguises your online identity, making it very difficult for third parties to track your activities online and steal your data.
That's bloody magnificent.
Thus, you can also be safe on public Wi-Fis with Surfshark while unlocking the major Netflix country libraries, and Old Mate's favourite, Surfshark's protection means that nobody can find where you're connecting from. Thus, you can find the best deals.
Looky what we have here. $100 less.
Check out the link below and enter the promo code CamNichols to get your 83% off with 3 months extra for free when you sign up to the 24-month plan.
So the Giant Propel Advanced 1 disc, which comes with Shimano Ultegra, a 52-36 front chain ring with an 11-30 tooth rear cassette, a Giant Contact Aero SL handlebar stem combo, and some Giant SLR 2 hookless, tubeless ready rims came in at $5,300 AUD complete bike. And for a mainstream bike, yes, I understand there are cheap Chinese bikes on Alibaba and all this kind of stuff, but for a well-regarded brand, to come in at $5,300, a bike that you can buy from your local bike shop and be supported through your local bike shop, but outside of the Merida Reacto 6000, which you can also purchase and be supported through a local bike shop, which comes in at $4,200. The wheels are quite average on that bike. This bike right here is, in my opinion, exceptional value for money. Part number 3 is the geometry and design. So quickly on geometry, comparing the Propel to the TCR and then to the Merida Reacto and then to the Cannondale System 6, some interesting observations include: this bike is very similar geometry-wise to the Giant TCR, which just goes to show that the Giant TCR is an aggressive design for the all-round category. The Propel notably has more material in the head tube and the seat tube, no doubt adding to the weight of the frame, but also helping with the comfort factor, creating a larger pathway for road buzz and vibrations to carry to the front and to the rear of the rider. Finally, on geometry, I have noted that the Cannondale System 6 has one of the most aggressive wheelbases in the aero category, being super short, and the Propel is basically on par, enabling a responsive feeling while out of the saddle and leaning into corners. Design-wise, there is one polarizing feature on the Giant Propel, and that is the front end. But before we talk about the front end, the aero system shaping technology, according to Giant, or what appears to be more traditional airfoil design tube shapes, works nicely, and I'm a big fan of the black, or what Giant call carbon, as their color scheme, with the integrated Giant logo. It's sleek, but you can't seem to take your eyes off that front end. I guess you could call it partially internal, but the bars stem into the frame combination just appears to be quite disjointed. It should also be noted that on the Giant Propel Advanced 1, the steerer is alloy as opposed to carbon fiber to help reduce costs on this particular model. Number 4 is my riding experiences. So the Giant Propel has caught me off guard, as I mentioned in part 1 of this video. It is a super comfortable ride for an aero bike, and for me that feature is super important. Reason being, where I live there are lots of harsher country dead roads, and at 30 to 32 kilometers per hour, if the bike is overly stiff and aggressive, say like the Cannondale System 6, I simply won't enjoy riding the bike. But with the Propel, it's an absolute pleasure on those roads. In fast environments like bunch rides, the Giant Propel ticks all the boxes you would want it to tick, in terms of holding speed in a draft, maintaining speed when exiting a draft, and rolling a turn, etc. But it also doesn't blow me away in any of those areas. It's good, but it's not, say, a Cannondale System 6 level. While the Giant is soft and I have experienced a flexing effect through the top tube, the shorter wheelbase and their overdrive technology, which is their oversized fork steerer, ensures the Giant is responsive and aggressive when needed. So I'm impressed with the blend of speed, aggressiveness and comfort with this bike, but you do lose a little bit of that stiffness because of the comfort factor. So if you're into super aggressive aero bikes, say like the Cervelo S5 or the Cannondale System 6, I'd say this bike's not going to be for you. Now, that flexing effect that I experience through the top tube, I experience it actually mostly in these handlebars. Put yourself in the drops and take off for a sprint on the Propel, and you will notice the bars moving both up and down and side to side. And while I'm circa 80 kilos, well, that's 176 pounds, I'm not a big sprinter, I'm not a big power pusher. So if you are, I think the handlebars would be something that you replace down the track. Finally, on the Giant SLR 2 wheels, I've been quite impressed. I'm not noticing any flex, they roll well, and I like the 42mm front, 65mm rear combo for optimal aerodynamic benefits for varying wind conditions. The tyres, however, that brings me to point number 5, an immediate upgrade. Now, when you buy a bike brand new, you want to take it out the door and start riding it. You just want to start enjoying it straight away. You want to be changing bits and pieces, particularly tyres, which are annoying to change as is, particularly tubeless tyres with sealant, normally harder to get off the rim and put back on, etc. However, personally, I was left with a blessing in disguise when I gashed my front tyre on about the 3rd or 4th ride on the Giant Propel, which left me with a compelling event to change the tyres. Now keep in mind, if you're going to do this, if you're going to change the tyres, there's only a few tubeless tyres that are compatible with the SLR2 hookless rims. I'll provide links below. But my local Giant bike shop only had one alternative to the Giant tyres, that being the Schwalbe ones, not even the Pro ones, which are apparently better than the ones, but I still managed to save about 100 grams all up just on the tyres alone. But it wasn't the weight saving that was the compelling event. The bike just felt better everywhere. In fact, the Giant was on average 4 seconds faster up a 3 to 4% gradient, 1.5 kilometer segment climb we have here on the Sunshine Coast called Gindia Drive with the Schwalbe tyres. And if you want more details on the tyre topic alone, I did make a specific video on it which you can find up there. But ultimately, I think Giant bolting their Gavia AC1s on this bike is a bit of an oversight. I think those tyres are better suited for maybe the Defy or even the Bin. The bike is a lot better with these tyres, so make sure you swap them over if you decide to purchase this bike yourself. Now I'm going to leave you with my rating system on this bike. Keep in mind that the rating system is based on the category. So we're talking about tier 2 aero bikes here. I'll catch you in the next video.
You and I, we go together like birds and the sky.